Pack your things and leave. Those were the words my husband said to me, in the house I had been paying for years. For a moment I thought I heard him wrong. I was standing in the kitchen, still holding a cup of tea, when he said it so casually, like he was asking me to move a chair, not leave my own home. My parents are coming to live with us, George added, crossing his arms. There won't be enough space. It's better if you stay somewhere else. Somewhere else. I stared at him, trying to understand if this was a joke. But his face was cold. Serious. George, this is my house too, I said slowly. No, he replied immediately. Don't make this complicated. Complicated? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. At least give me some time, I said. I need to pack. Can you wait until tomorrow? He looked annoyed, like even that small request was too much. Fine, he said sharply. I'll stay at a hotel tonight. I don't want to see your face. A hotel? From which money? Our joint account, the one I had been carefully managing for years. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. As he walked toward the door, he turned back and said something that stayed in my mind. If you leave anything behind, I'll throw it away. The door slammed shut. And just like that, the house went silent. I stood there for a few seconds, then slowly sat down. A long, heavy sigh escaped my lips. $1, $800 every month, I whispered to myself. I've been paying this mortgage alone, and he still says it's not my house. For years I worked nonstop. Full-time job. Overtime. Saving every dollar. While George drifted from one job to another. 3 months here. 1 month there. Sometimes just one day. Whenever things got difficult, he quit. And somehow, it always became my responsibility to fix everything. I picked up my phone and scrolled to a familiar name. Anna. My daughter. The only person who truly understood me. She picked up almost immediately. Mom. Her voice alone made me feel lighter. Anna, I said softly. I need a favor. What happened? She asked, her tone instantly serious. I might need to stay with you for a while. There was no hesitation. Of course, she said. Don't even ask. I'll come pick you up tomorrow. My eyes softened. Thank you, I whispered. After the call ended, I sat there quietly. But something inside me had already started to change. For years I had been patient, understanding, tolerant. But today something felt different. This time, I wasn't just going to leave quietly. I picked up my phone again and made another call. A small smile appeared on my face. If he thinks I'll just walk away, I murmured, he's about to learn something. My name is Sarah. I'm 51 years old. And for most of my life, I believed that if I worked hard enough, everything would eventually fall into place. I met George when I was young. He was charming, confident, full of dreams. Back then, his eyes had a spark, like he was destined for something great. And I believed in him. We got married. And a few years later, we had our daughter, Anna. She was perfect, bright, kind, responsible. Even as a child, she understood things most adults didn't. Because while I was raising her, George was rarely there. Play with her sometimes, I would say. That's your job, he would reply. Housework? My responsibility. Childcare? My responsibility. Finances? Also my responsibility. Still I stayed. For Anna. And somehow, she grew into an incredible person. Even as a little girl, she would stand up for me. Dad, you should help, she once said firmly. George didn't like that. But even he couldn't completely ignore her. Years passed. Anna got married, moved away, built her own happy life. And I stayed behind. In the same house. With the same man. And the same problems. Did you quit again? I asked him once. People don't understand my talent, he replied. That was always his excuse. He had a good education. A strong background. But no consistency. No responsibility. Meanwhile, I had started working right after high school. Life didn't give me a choice. And maybe that's why. I learned how to survive. How to endure. How to keep going, no matter what. But lately, even I was getting tired. Really tired. Then one day, something caught my attention. I was checking our bank account. And I froze. $2000 missing? I frowned, scrolling through the transactions. I didn't spend it. So there was only one explanation. That evening, I asked him directly. What did you use $2,000 for? He didn't even look guilty. I gave it to my parents, he said casually. I blinked. Why? It's Mom's birthday, he said proudly. I booked them a hot spring trip. A trip. With money I saved. From our joint account? I asked. It's fine, he shrugged. It's family. Family. I felt something tighten in my chest. Then you should have used your own money, I said firmly. His expression changed immediately. You're my wife, he snapped. Just follow my decisions. And just like that, the conversation ended. As always, he walked away, and I was left behind, cleaning up the mess. Again. But this time, something inside me didn't stay quiet. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about respect. And I was finally starting to realize I had been giving everything to someone who gave me nothing in return. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. His words, his tone, the way he said, just follow my decisions. For years I had ignored it, excused it, endured it, but now it felt unbearable. The next morning, I quietly started packing. Not everything, just the things that mattered to me. Clothes, documents, personal items, and something else. Something George didn't even realize. Most of the things in that house were bought by me. Every piece of furniture, every appliance, every little detail that made that place a home. All of it came from my hard work. By the time Anna arrived, I was ready. "Mom," she said softly as she stepped inside. "Are you okay?" I smiled faintly. "I will be." She didn't ask more. She just hugged me tightly. And in that moment, I realized something important. This is what real family feels like. Living with Anna felt different. Peaceful. Warm. For the first time in years, I didn't feel tension in the air. Her husband was kind, respectful. Her little daughter called me grandma with a bright smile. And slowly, I started to breathe again. But I hadn't forgotten about George. Not even for a second, because I knew he would call. And I was right. A few days later, my phone rang. "George." I looked at the screen and smiled slightly. "I knew it," I whispered. I answered. "What is it?" "Sarah," his voice sounded panicked. "What did you do?" I leaned back calmly. "What do you mean?" "The house," he snapped. "It's empty. Where is everything?" I almost laughed, but held it back. "Well," I said slowly, "you told me to leave. So I did." "That doesn't explain why everything is gone," he shouted. "Oh, that," I said casually. "I removed almost everything." Silence. "What do you mean removed?" he asked, confused. "I called a service," I explained. "Some things were recycled. Some were disposed of. I only took what belonged to me." "And what exactly belonged to you?" he demanded. I paused, just for a moment. "Almost everything," I replied. Another silence. Longer this time. "You're joking," he said weakly. "Am I?" I asked calmly. "Tell me, George, what did you buy with your own money?" He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. "Exactly," I said. At that moment, Anna walked into the room. She looked at me, then at the phone. "Is that him?" she asked quietly. I nodded. She held out her hand. "Let me talk." I hesitated for a second, then gave her the phone. "Dad," she said firmly. "It's Anna." "Anna," his tone changed instantly. "Listen, your mother has gone too far." "No," she cut him off. "You went too far." There was silence again. "Mom has supported this house for years," she continued. "What have you done?" "I work too," he argued. "Really?" she replied. "For how long?" "A few months at a time." He didn't respond. "Do you even realize how much she sacrificed for you?" Anna added. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was strong and honest. George started but stopped. "Enough," Anna said. "You need to take responsibility now." She handed the phone back to me. I put it on speaker. "George," I said, "let's stop pretending." "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice quieter now. "I'm done," I said. "With what?" "With this marriage." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. "You're serious?" he asked. "Yes." "No, wait, we can fix this," he said quickly. "Let's just calm down." "I've been calm for years," I replied. "Now, I'm done waiting." He didn't know what to say. So instead, he said something unexpected. "Fine," he muttered. "Then transfer the house to my name." I almost smiled. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "If we're divorcing, the house should be mine." "All right," I replied calmly. "I'll prepare the documents." He sounded relieved. "Good," he said. "At least you're being reasonable." "Reasonable." I ended the call and looked at Anna. She raised an eyebrow. "Mom, are you really giving him the house?" I smiled. A real smile this time. "Not exactly." She looked confused. So I explained. "Yes, the house is in my name," I said. "But there's still a huge mortgage." "How huge?" she asked. $800 every month. Her eyes widened. Can he afford that? I shook my head slowly. Not even close. And that was the point. A few days later, things started to unfold exactly as I expected. George officially took over the house. At first, he seemed confident, almost proud. But then reality hit. The bills, the expenses, the responsibility, everything I had been handling alone for years. Now it was all his. And he wasn't ready. Not even a little. Meanwhile, I was sitting peacefully in Anna's home, drinking tea, smiling. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. But the story wasn't over yet. Because very soon, George was about to face the consequences of every decision he had ever made. A few weeks passed. At first, everything was quiet. Too quiet. No calls. No messages. And honestly, I didn't mind. For the first time in years, my life felt peaceful. No arguments. No tension. No one telling me what I should or shouldn't do. Just calm. But peace doesn't last forever, especially when reality starts catching up. One afternoon, my phone rang. I looked at the screen. George. I sighed softly, then answered. What is it? Sarah. His voice sounded different this time. Not angry. Not confident. Just tired. It's about the house, he said. Of course it was. What about it? I asked calmly. The mortgage, he hesitated. It's $1,800 a month? Yes, I replied. I've been paying it for years. There was a long pause. I didn't know it was that much, he admitted. I almost laughed. But I didn't. You never asked, I said simply. I can't afford this, he said, his voice cracking slightly. My income isn't enough. I leaned back in my chair. And yet, you were so confident taking the house. Silence. Sarah, can we talk? He asked carefully. We are talking. No, I mean about us, he said. Maybe we can start over. There it was. Not love. Not regret. Just desperation. No, I said firmly. Please, he insisted. I'll change this time. I closed my eyes for a second, then opened them again. I've heard that before, I said quietly. This time I mean it. And all those other times? I asked. He had no answer. George, I continued, you're not calling because you miss me. You're calling because you need me. That's not true, he said weakly. It is, I replied. If you could afford that house, you wouldn't be calling right now. Silence again. Heavy. Honest. So what am I supposed to do? He asked finally. That's your responsibility, I said. You're an adult. But when we were together, I cut in. I handled everything. Now it's your turn. He exhaled sharply. Frustrated. Defeated. And then the call ended. After that, I blocked his number. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. Some doors need to stay closed. A few days later, Anna mentioned something. Mom, she said, Dad tried calling me. I looked at her. What did he want? Same thing, she sighed. He asked if we could convince you to come back. I shook my head. And I told him no, she said firmly. He needs to face his own choices. I smiled slightly. You've grown a lot, I said. She laughed softly. I learned from you. Time passed. And slowly, I started hearing things. George couldn't keep up with the payments. He started selling things. Then he sold the house. But even that wasn't enough. Because bad habits don't disappear overnight. He still couldn't hold a job. Still spent money carelessly. And eventually, everything caught up to him. Debts. Stress. Loneliness. The life he thought he deserved slowly slipped away. Meanwhile, my life moved in a completely different direction. I stayed with Anna and her family. Not as a burden, but as part of their happiness. Her husband treated me with respect. Her father-in-law helped around the house. Something George never did. And my granddaughter. She filled my days with laughter. Grandma, come play, she would say. And I always did. Because now, I finally had time. Time to breathe. Time to live. Time to be appreciated. One evening, Anna came to me with a smile. Mom, I have news. What is it? I asked. I'm pregnant. For a second, I froze. Then my face lit up. That's wonderful, I said, hugging her tightly. And in that moment, I realized something. Life didn't end when I left George. It began. Later, Anna said something that stayed with me. Mom, you've done enough for everyone else. Now it's your turn to be happy. I smiled. Maybe she was right. Not long after, I received unexpected news. George had lost everything. The house. His savings. Even his stability. He moved into a small apartment, then couldn't afford that either. And eventually, he was completely alone. I didn't feel happy hearing that. But I didn't feel sad either. Because this wasn't revenge. This was consequence. Meanwhile, something surprising happened. My in-laws contacted me. They apologized. Sincerely. It turned out, they never knew the full truth. George had lied to them. Made it seem like everything was fine. I accepted their apology. Because they weren't the problem. He was. With time, I found myself surrounded by something I had missed for years. Respect. Care. Real family. And one day, as I sat with Anna's family laughing, talking, feeling at peace, I realized something simple, but powerful. I had spent years proving my worth to someone who never valued it. And the moment I stopped, everything changed. Because real happiness doesn't come from holding on. It comes from letting go.